What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Getting Started with Adobe XD. I'm your host, Brandon Groce, and I'm super excited about what we're going to be getting into today. So with that said, I'm super excited and fired up, but I want to know about all of you guys. How are you guys doing in the chat? How are you guys feeling? Where are you guys chiming in from? How are you guys doing? All right, awesome. So let me know in the chat. We have a couple people so far. We have our man Tim. What's going on? We have Sean, Malik, Gyro, Laser, Morning. Welcome all you guys. I'm super excited what we're going to be getting into today. We are continuing what we were doing yesterday, which is building our ebook mobile app. So with that said, we will give you guys, for those of you who weren't here yesterday, we're going to show you guys what we did yesterday and then move forward on what we're going to be doing today. So, while you guys let me know in the chat how you guys are feeling, how you're grooving, what's happening, where you guys are chiming in from, I'm gonna go over our schedule and what we have for today because we have some exciting stuff. All right, obviously we have 7:30, you know, it's pretty early in some other places in the world right now, 7:30 a.m. with me, Brandon Groce. We have next Paul Tranny at 9 a.m. PT with Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. We have 9:30 a.m. with Tyler doing some drawing and painting. At 11:30 a.m. we have Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with our girl Julia. And then at 12 p.m. PT, we're getting in with Bree on Adobe XD workflows and pro tips. After that, we have our man Jesse Showalter at 2 p.m. PT doing some Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenges. And then finally, closing out the day, we have Alice Lee doing doodle therapy. And as we all know, one of my favorite sessions. So with that said, hey, we have Sean in the chat. We have Walter. Hey, what's going on? Christina. Hey, I'm glad you guys are joining us. All right, so let's hop into what it is we're doing today. And actually recapping, I would love to know if you guys were here yesterday, put a 1 in the chat. I would love to know who our return visitors are, and let's hop in. So yesterday, we did a couple things. We were working on our ebook mobile app, and what we got so far is we designed everything we see here from scratch. Obviously, some of the captions need to be changed, but we designed this. We got some drag animations happening in here. And that was pretty much where we got. But what we're going to be working on today, I'm super excited about, is working on this portion. And again, if we have time today, I know a lot of people yesterday wanted to learn some more advanced tactics or techniques. We will have something today for everyone, I promise. But what we're going to be working on today is this auto animate piece right here, where we click on a book and we want to actually preview or continue reading it. And even favorite, we have a lot of auto animate opportunities here as well. So that's what we'll be working on today, in addition to possibly creating what it will look like if we decide to, click on a genre, if we decide to look at our library or even look at our profile. So, hey, we do have some return. Sean's a returner. Malik is returning. Christina, yes. So you guys are going to get a lot of value out of what we're going to continue doing today, and I'm super excited. Neza say, hey, what's going on? Good morning. All right, so this is what we are going to do. So like I said, because we are going to be focusing on this particular, to start on this particular function or this animation here, we're gonna set this up, okay? Now to do that, what we are going to do is first, we're going to design this page from scratch, just so you guys can see how it's made and how we do the transitions as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I lied, guys. But in a good way. I just forgot something. I was like, I know we did more than one thing. We also did do a quick idle animation. You guys can see these bubbles are going back and forth with a nice timed ease in, ease out. Just like that. So we did that as well yesterday too. But now let's get into actually how do we go from this to this. So let's talk about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take our initial artboard here. I'm going to Alt drag it over here, and ladies and gentlemen, everybody, we will be going, let me know, pause me at any time where, because I know a lot of you have not been here since yesterday. If you want an answer to something that I've just done and I haven't explained it to your liking, just pause me, pop it in the chat. Tim is really good at answering questions. He's quicker than me at it. So Tim and I will tack your question and try to give you guys the best answer to help you do better in Adobe XD. All right, so what I'm doing is I've duplicated this artboard, and what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to transform what we have here into this. So what we're gonna start off by doing is I'm just gonna take away each one of these segments. I only want this piece right here, basically, this book. So everything else, we're just gonna get rid of. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the search bar. And what I'm gonna do to get rid of it, because I still want it to animate, and if you guys know that if you remove something from an artboard, it just gets removed if you start animating it. And I'll show you an example. So if we just deleted this, right? And we go over to, let's see, how would we want to animate this? This is just an example. That for whatever reason, if I click this business button, the search just disappears, right? Actually, it didn't disappear for whatever odd reason. Let's see. Let's do this. Whoop, not that. Let me take this off. Let me do it simpler. If I click this bubble, this is just an example. This is not a real life thing. I just want to explain this one thing to you guys. Oh, it's not going away. I wonder why. Well, that's probably part of the thing that we're trying to avoid. What I want to happen instead is I want this search bar to actually just turn down in opacity, like turn invisible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these items here, and I'm going to just go to our opacity toggle thing here, and I'm just going to pull all the way down. That way, when I do want to create an animation, okay, if I click this bubble, I want to make sure that the search bar just goes away. I'm pretty sure that this will actually work now. Huh. I wonder why that's not working. That's really odd. All right, guys, we're gonna have to do some troubleshooting today. Tim, you actually might know because you were helping me out yesterday, but that's really odd. But here, let's do this. Let's just go ahead and we'll worry about that later. Let's just get our design in place and then we'll work backwards. So what I'm going to do here, just like I planned, I'm gonna turn this all the way down. And I'm just gonna do that for all the bits and pieces that I don't want on the page. And what I mean by that is we want this to be the final result. So we're gonna just pull everything out that we don't want and keep everything that we do. And I'm actually going to duplicate this over here just so I can see what we're working on. All right, so I'm gonna try to turn this into this. And guys, I'm just using this for reference. A lot of people yesterday were saying, can't you just copy and paste? That is 100% true. And in the real world, if I already had some assets to pull on, that's 100% what I would do. But I want to show you guys how we can get from A to Z, and you guys know the whole process in between. So I'm going to pull this down just with the same thing. I'm going to grab both, turn the opacity down. And yeah, Tim, I think I'm pretty much using the correct artboard. Let's see. I want to see if I do it like You know what? I might not have been. There's so many right now. Let's try this. If I click this, go here, click this. Yeah. Oh, you know what it is? It's working. I just wasn't looking over here. We have it on like a huge delay. That's why. Okay. There was no problem. It was just a huge delay. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, so this is what I was trying to say. There we go. Okay. So nothing's broken. I just didn't look at the time that we had over here. All right, that's good to know. I'm just gonna take that off and we'll worry about that later. So we'll continue to just remove or just turn down the opacity of things that we don't want in this shot. So what we have so far is I'm gonna go back to design. And guys, if you ever get stuck, I have in the beginning stages in Adobe XD, if I didn't know what was happening, I would be in prototype. There's 3 different tabs. There's design, prototype, and share, where you can share your designs with your teammates, clients, etc. And sometimes I was like, well, why can't I click and design? It's because I was on the prototype tab. Make sure you're on the design tab. All right, so I'm just gonna continue what we're doing here, clicking my assets here, turning them down using my in the appearance tab on the right, turning the opacity all the way down. And now I'm gonna do that with these pieces here. I'm gonna go in here, click in, turn the opacity down. Ooh, not all of them. I think this is what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to ungroup this. And if you guys were not here yesterday, we used this in a group. So I'm gonna ungroup this. And this might break some things, but we can definitely go back and fix it. So I'm gonna ungroup, I'm gonna hit Control-Shift-G. And there's a couple solutions to this, but let's try this one. I'm gonna hit Control-Shift-G, which ungroups this. And this is a repeat grid, which is good if I want to repeat things very simply. I can just drag in and out this thing here, but that's not what we're trying to do in this instance. We're trying to do some animation, and we don't want a change to one of these assets or these elements to change the rest of them, and that's what was happening. I only wanted to turn the opacity down on one, but it turns the opacity down on all of them. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna ungroup the grid for now. I'm going to select all of these, group them again, go back in, select the ones that I do not want to show up. I'm going to take our opacity all the way down. Hey, what's going on, Mustafa? Pleasure to have you, my friend. I'm glad you can make it. And now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take this bubble here. And then it's pretty big. Well, all we're gonna do is we're gonna just pull this down. And just for reference, what I wanna do, and I'm a big believer in reference. I'm a trained artist at first, and it's very difficult to draw anything just from memory, whether it's hands, face, anything. Especially when you're learning, it takes time to have that muscle memory or the understanding of anatomy and whatnot. So what I'm going to do, and why I'm saying that, is I want to know how far, or at least the spacing between these elements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, I'm going to hold Alt, and I want to check the spacing between this element and the logo. It's 41 pixels. So I'm just going to pull this up. It's 20 pixels here. I'm going to hold Shift, hit the down arrow once, twice, and that moves the element that I'm holding 10 pixels every time I hit an arrow key. I'm gonna do the same thing with the side, 40 pixels from the left, holding Alt. Let's see. Doesn't want to show me the side. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna eyeball that. What it's trying to do is it's trying to measure the actual how far it is from the circle, but that's not really what we want. Let's see. I'm just gonna eyeball this and it should be close enough. Now what I'm gonna do is obviously this looks a little bit larger. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scale this up, and I want to see the size of this. So we have width 328, and height we have 273. So I'm gonna just take these 328. Actually, not 328. We want to take the height. So I'm gonna take this, copy over here, hit enter. Perfect. And if you guys saw, things changed just a tad bit. Things got larger. However, you guys can see some of the stuff was cropped here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go into this mask here, pull this out just a little bit. There we go. So we have the image actually stretched with the mask. There we go. Now, all we have to do, which is pretty simple, is we're gonna go and get our little favorite icon, our close icon, and write that out. This is pretty simple stuff, guys. You're gonna be like, wow, that's all it takes? Indeed, that's all it takes. So I'm gonna go to my plugins panel, the bottom here. I'm gonna go to, I'm already in it, but I wanna show you guys. These are all my plugins that I use, very beneficial. We're gonna be using, today we're gonna be using icons for design, and we're gonna be using lorem ipsum and maybe another one. But what we're gonna be doing right now is gonna go to icons for design, and why I like this is because I can type in any icon that I want. So in this case, I'm gonna type in heart. And right there, I have a whole list of array of icons I could ever need. I don't have to leave the application. It's super nice. I'm just gonna scale this down just a tad bit. It seems a little too thick. It's definitely in there. So what I'm gonna do to turn that down, because what is awesome about this plugin is that these are SVGs where I can actually edit the thickness, the color, the everything pretty much about these elements. I could even click in and actually distort the heart, which is absolutely awesome. So all I'm doing is I'm turning down the size by going to this piece here, the borders, and I'm gonna turn it down to just 1. It was up at 3. I'm gonna click it again, go into fill, well not fill, border. Make it lighter. Awesome. I'm just gonna line that up. Now I'm going to, just like I did yesterday, I could totally type out favorite, find the right font, and then change it to the light color. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go over to my reference. I'm gonna click favorite, okay? Right click, add character style to assets. And all I have to do now is I could just type out, I'm gonna type out favorites here, or favorite. Totally not the right font, not the right color, not the right anything. I'm gonna go to my assets panel over here, and I'm going to click this, which is the one, and you can name these as well. I can right click, edit, I can change the color, but I just want to rename it. So I'm just going to type in favorite, and you don't have to do this, I just wanted to show you guys that you can rename it, because I've had people ask in the past, some of my students, they're like, well, none of these are like customizable, they're all named like the same thing, it's only the font that is different. But if you name them to be specific, it's much easier. So we're just gonna click it. It's now exactly what we need, and we're just gonna move it into place. Not the right anything. I love it, Tim. That's me in a lot of other places in my life as well. That's definitely there. And we're gonna do the same thing with our little close box here. And again, I could pull it from the assets panel, or let's say someone on my team or whomever has already created this asset, and they've given me that component through their library. What that would look like, if I want to make this closed thing a component, I right click it, make component, and just like we did with our font, in our assets panel, we get this nice little icon, the size, the color, everything. And just drag this on, bam, just like that. And now all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna arrange everything, try to keep this centered with the logo as well as to the side of this. Alignment is so key when it comes to design. A lot of people, especially first starting out, Like, they don't like to use grids, and I could totally use the grids here, but I think from how I had things, because I tried this out prior to actually coming onto Adobe Live. Obviously, I want to test things out, and it just didn't look right, you know? So and this just comes from practice. And what I mean by practice is training your eyes what looks right and what doesn't look right. There's rules, right? I've set rules that we've used for these other pages where the columns were dictating where things flow in a line. Whereas on this page, it just wouldn't look right. And I'm sure you guys can tell in the chat and you can agree with me or disagree with me. This one looks way better balanced than this one. And again, that's just training my eye to know what looks better or what looks best and just trying things out. All right, so I'm just gonna move this stuff in just a little bit. I'm gonna move this cross just in just a little bit. Perfect. Now we're gonna just take this text box. Well, not gonna take the text box. I'm gonna show you guys a really simple and easy way to get lorem ipsum. You know, before I learned about this plugin, I was literally going to, there's a site that's like loremipsum.com. I have no idea what it is. And literally just like copying and pasting lorem ipsum into Adobe XD. And that takes too long. So I'm gonna show you guys really quickly how to do this. So I'm gonna just drag out, I hit T on my keyboard. I'm gonna drag out a text box, just like this. I'm gonna write a little something in there just to keep the text box. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over to my plugins. I'm gonna go back and we're gonna use this lorem ipsum plugin I mentioned to you guys. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click quick lorem ipsum and it just pulls it in there. It deletes everything in there and it's just nice placeholder copy. I don't have to copy and paste from like a website out in the ether and bring it back to Adobe XD. So just like we did before with our fonts in other places or our type, I'm gonna add character style to assets, go to my assets panel with a quick shortcut Control-Shift-Y, and I am going to click my text, click this, Tim, you told me this yesterday, but I'm still not gonna pronounce it correctly. Sugo UI. All right, there we go. And as you guys can see, as we did that, there's still space here. What I can do now is I can go back to my plugins, go back to quick lorem ipsum, and just have it fill in again. It's totally simple. I'm just gonna drag this up, just like that. And I'm starting to see that there are some slight differences in what we have. I think in this design, we have a little fill color that is a light gray. We could totally do that and we can experiment with that in just a bit. But let's continue with this. So I have some extra space here. I'm gonna double click on this bottom button, which is extremely helpful. If you guys have never known this before, I've seen people who have text boxes that are just like dragging for forever. And I'm just like, in Adobe XD, you can double tap that bottom little toggle thing and it will just snap right up. Right up into the text box. Tim, it's Seago. Isn't that what I said? Close enough? Seago? I was trying to say like sous vide or something, you know? I'm trying to get fancy with it. But Seago, there we go. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna move this stuff a little in. I can see, I'm gonna implement this shadow here, and I'm also gonna move this content in just a little bit. So let's do that. I'm gonna select these two. Whoops, let me grab this first. I'm just gonna hold Shift and right arrow, and I'm gonna do the same here. Shift, right arrow. There we go. I'm gonna pull this in just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. All right, so now for this shadow. I'm gonna do is click in to our group here. We have this big old group, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit Control, click in, just to click this one asset. I'm gonna go to our shadows, and I'm just gonna do a very, very minor, just a little bit on the Y here. And as you guys can see, shadows, super simple. I just toggle it on. I have the control of the opacity. Do not do anything like this. Do not do super opacity. I see a lot of, early designers, they're like, all right, we're gonna dark out that shadow to separate, whatever's below it. We're gonna pull that shadow down and we're just gonna blast the blur out. Nah, relax, let's bring it down just a little bit. Actually, up here it looks a little cool, but overall, it's not how we wanna do it. So I'm gonna just turn this to 0 really quick, bring this down just a little bit, and I'm gonna turn the opacity pretty low. I only want a smidge of separation. I'm gonna blur this out just a little bit, about 20. I'm gonna bring this in, and the Y, and so what the X and the Y does is the X obviously moves the shadow from left to right, the X axis. I'm gonna turn that back to 0. And the Y brings the shadow up or down. So I'm gonna bring this down just a little bit. I'm gonna about like 2, 3. Let's do 3 or 4. 6 looks all right. Let me play with the opacity here. There you go. I think that's all right. That actually might be a little too strong, but we'll deal with that for right now. Next, we're gonna do our button. All I'm gonna do is pull our rectangle out just like this, turn off the border, go to our fill, use our color swatches, and now, just keep things easy, actually. No, we're not gonna do that. I was literally just gonna copy and paste or make it a component so you guys can see that again, but I'm just gonna make it from scratch. I wanna get the exact dimensions, so we have 230, 274. I'm gonna take that, copy it into our width of that, and I want the height, 43. Paste that over into our button, perfect. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this and we're just gonna turn this radius all the way up. I'm gonna click this panel here. And the cool thing is I can do all of the radius or all the corners of this element, or I can click this over here and I can do individual corners. So I can leave this point sharp and everything else curved. And I can do some pretty interesting, let's see, hold up. 94. I'm trying to find that other corner. I can do this, some pretty cool things with buttons here. Just like that. Colorful drop shadows can look fantastic when done right. Don't Tim, you're 100% right. And I was really thinking that, to be honest, because I think at one point, I want to turn this, you guys can kind of see this. There's a big difference in contrast between these two. It's because this background is very light and this background has a little smidge of blue in it. If I turn that off, let's not turn that off. It turns brown or gray. But there's a big difference between this, this color and a light color. It's like a smidge difference. And we'll figure out how we go about all that in just a bit. So I'm just gonna take this back to our regular form. I'm just gonna turn the radius all the way up because that's what we want. I'm gonna go ahead and type in continue reading. And if you guys were here yesterday, we already made an asset type for this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. If I didn't, let's see. It doesn't look actually like I did. So I'm just gonna go over here, control click this so I don't have to select the entire group. I just have the continue reading, right click, add to character style, perfect. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to this, continue reading, click, and there we go. Super simple. And what's really interesting about this too is if you guys have ever used, I'm a very big advocate of UI kits. Adobe has plenty out in circulation that already has asset asset libraries or UI kits that already have these things built in. And so when you go out and trying to customize something or extend what is already in the kit, it's super awesome because all you have to do is click something, click whatever's in your character styles or your when your character styles, or pull in components and edit them. Like it really speeds up your workflow as a designer. I'm under the impression, not under the impression, I'm a big school of thought when it comes to don't spend your time on, recreating the wheel. The wheels exist. It's good to know, like train your eye by designing, but when it comes to actually getting a deliverable made in a quick amount of time and at high quality, reusing people's work like in UI kits and to solve the problem using those things is still highly valuable, and I feel like a lot of people teach against that, but that's why those things are extremely valuable. Okay, I'm gonna hop off that soapbox and let's go ahead and start turning the opacity down on these things because we don't need those. Turn them down, and I'm going to pull this up just like this. All right, so we have our design, pretty simple. All we're gonna do now is we're gonna start linking some stuff up. So I'm gonna put this off to the side. We don't need that. And I'm going to start linking some stuff up. Now we might fall into some trouble here because I did, and I'll explain why. Actually, let's take a look first. We might not fall into any issues, but we have to diagnose. And this is, I've heard someone say, let me explain what I'm gonna do here first, and then I'll get into that story. So I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna go all the way into that. I just want this component. If I click on that, we're gonna take this arrow all the way to this artboard. Now, what I want it to do, let's see. We're gonna do snap. I want about 0.4 seconds. And guys, let me know in the chat, what do you guys think? What is your experience with UI kits? Are you familiar with them? Let me know. I would love to know what you guys' thoughts are on them personally. So I'm gonna hit play here. Yeah, you guys see that? I'm gonna explain it. It happened really quick, but what I'm gonna do really quick so I don't have to keep closing and opening, I'm gonna take this close button, take the arrow, just bring it back here so we can easily just diagnose what's happening. All right, so let's take a look. So some of the stuff, you see how stuff is like disappearing here or like flying down there? Why that happens, and I'll show you guys how to fix this because I do know a couple of students of mine who have this issue as well. It's all about the naming conventions. What we want is we want this to turn into this this book. We don't want it to just disappear and just somehow appear here. So we'll go ahead and do all that, and we also need to, let's see. We don't want this weird thing happening, and we don't want that title just flying down there. All right, so let's go ahead and fix that. Yep, Mendium, it's exactly what I was saying. Match the layer names, and that's a big thing. So that's part of the process. Like as you move forward in your designs, to animate, you kind of also have to work backwards to make sure that everything is a-okay. All right, so let us do this. I want to see where that title was flying from, because I need to know which one that is. It's just like some weird stuff here. So this is what we're going to do. We're gonna get out of prototype, we're gonna go to design, and we're gonna go to our layers. Control Y, and we are just going to take a look at some stuff. I'm just gonna start changing some of these names so we don't have any issues. Oh, and you know what also is the issue? All these say continue reading. So what we're gonna do here, just to change that, because I know that's already a problem. Instead of continue reading, let's see. what did we have in our previous? Continue reading additional recent editions. And we'll just do that. Recent editions. Recent editions. Yeah, CRN, yes. UI kits like really speed everything up, and I really wish that more people utilize them. I feel like there's a big school of thought that teaches originality and doing your own craft. If it's not your own craft, it's stealing, I guess. I guess that's what's it's taught. But UI kits are not stealing. It's leveraging other people's work in a simple work. You're not like peeling off an entire app, an entire program to sell. You want to spend the most of your time thinking about how to solve the problem, not the wireframes. All right, so let's see. I really want to know what that is. Let's see. I'm going to do something really quick. All right. Let's see if that changes anything. But this is definitely like one of the battles, not a battle, but this is one of the things you have to be extremely cognizant in Adobe XD, like naming layers so that, and also this is just part of the process, to be honest with you. There we go. So there's still that, that layer name, that title. So it's a continue reading title. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So let's take this. All right, I think that it definitely would help. So I'll close that out. Hey, there it is. Yeah, there was too many continue readings. It was just like, which one do you want me to read, Brandon? All right, there we go. But that's all it is. All it takes is a little diagnosis. All right, let's see. Now we have to figure out how to get this book to smoosh, like move in. And it's just the changing, I'm pretty sure, of layers, or excuse me, changing the name of the layers. And then I'll also show you how to get all this stuff easily. We could actually do something really simple where we could take this entire thing, copy it. Actually, do we want to do it that way, or let's try it this way? Because I think this might be a little bit difficult because this is still in the group and then all that whatchamacallit, in the repeat grid, and that will mess up everything from the drags. But we can, let's try this. I'm gonna copy this, just like that. I'm gonna bring this over to our artboard over here, our starting artboard, paste it. And I'm just gonna pull this over, just like that. Turn the opacity down. I'm very curious to see how this works. This is a little bit different than how I anticipated. But we still get a nice result. I don't know why that continue reading. It's just like, bye, see you later. I wonder where it's trying to go. So we have to figure that out as well. Let's see. Let's close that out. Alberto, yes. XD early in the morning. Super interesting. CRN, it actually took me a long time to learn that, especially with regards to UX. It's a problem-solving process, so focus on the mechanics and layout before the look and feel. Definitely. Like, as I'm mentoring new and transitioning designers, a lot of them are focused on the actual doing, And it's difficult for them to be like, oh, well, let me pause, let me get into my process and understand actually how to solve this business challenge. And rather than worrying about the thinking, they just dive straight into the doing, the colors, what needs to be built. The biggest and most highest paying jobs is the thinking and the strategy. So it's really important to understand that those who understand strategy, who understand how to solve the problem, and don't just get into the doing, those are actually the most highest paid jobs and highly valuable players, because if you understand that and you just realize, oh, I can leverage other people's work, UI kits, or something to speed up that part of the doing process, I can just come up with a solution, outsource what needs to be built, and send that off to the client. And that's a really quick way of speeding up that entire process, rather than doing that strategy and, because you're being paid, having to dive really deep into the doing just to get those deliverables done with. All right, let's get back into this. I feel like this is almost a sermon I'm giving, but if you guys like that, this sort of this conversation, let me know. Put ones in the chat, and let me know. Okay. So we have this. I do want to take out one thing. All right, so we have that. I feel like the background is a little, yeah. So I'm gonna go in here really quick. I'm gonna turn this to, it says it's white. Whoops. But I saw like a change in color and I didn't know what that was from. All right, we have that. And I don't want this moving. And I think I had it move somewhere. So I'm gonna go to my layers panel right here. Open this up. Ooh, there's a lot of groups in here, sir. All right, let's check this out. Continue reading. I think this is why it moved, and I don't really necessarily want it to move. I'm gonna turn the opacity on this very quickly. Let's see. What is the 16 pixels? All right, let's check this out. We're just gonna move this over so it's 16 pixels, and we don't want it to go anywhere. We're gonna turn this down. That should solve that problem. Yes, there we go. See, diagnosis is all we need, guys. Just figuring it out. All right, so now that we have that, that is nice, smooth, and clean. Some of the stuff that I want to also do is I want this search bar to be underneath this blue thing. As you guys can see, when we click over, the search bar is still on top, it disappears, and all that good stuff. So we're gonna start animating this stuff so that, one, this X doesn't just like pop in. We want this, just like we have our content slide in from the left, I also want this stuff to also populate in from the left, or at least animate in some capacity. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take this X and copy it. I'm gonna bring it over to our initial screen. I'm gonna paste it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to size it up and turn the opacity down. Why I'm doing that is because I want it to like compress and sit just like that when we get to that artboard. So we're going here, clicking it just like that. If you guys saw, we're gonna have to change the timing of it just a little bit because what it did was not cute. And to do that, we're gonna go to prototype. We're gonna go to this. We're gonna see the timing, 0.4. Let's do 0.3. And guys, this is all I can't even tell you. I've been doing this for 9 years, and it's still the process of like, why didn't that work? Every day. So if you guys ever fall into a situation where you're like, oh, why isn't this working? Blah, blah, blah. It's it's a give and take. So what I'm gonna do instead, I'm gonna turn the opacity up because I actually wanna see this. I'm gonna make it really small so it pops outward rather than like down and in or out and down. So I want it to pop in place this time. There you go. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing with our text here. All we're gonna do is we're gonna take these bits, copy, paste it onto the artboard we're starting with. Just like that. Wait, I forgot something. I forgot to continue reading. And before I do that, I'm just gonna make this a group so it's just easier for me to deal with. Wonderful. Let me check back in the chat because there was just like a whole bunch of things that were just happening. I miss Paul saying good morning. Everybody's saying good morning. Wow. Yeah, some people about to go to sleep. Yeah, I still feel in that mood though. All right, Natasha is asking about the UI assets in my head. There's always something to tell me that I should be the one creating the icons. How about everyone else? Yeah, I mean, there is some cases, and I'm gonna let you guys in the chat answer that as well. Tim, if you have an opinion on that, definitely share, because I know every time you chime in, I'm learning something new as well. With the icons, I can't tell you the last time I've made icons, especially with icons for design. The only time I use icons or I have to create them, which I outsource, is if I need something super, super custom. For my product or my own brand, but it's very rare. Even then, I would start out with something like this and just edit it myself. We have that capability. But I'm gonna let everybody else know in the chat because that is an interesting question. I would love to know how you guys feel about creating your own custom assets. I feel like there's so many new ways in which we can actually leverage things. Like we have humans, not humans like us humans, but the resource humans, which is stuff like, and we can talk about that, like illustration libraries where it's super simple. And this is humans.com. I can put this in the chat if you guys are interested, but there's so many different ways to leverage other work nowadays, and it's free or low cost. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know. All right, so let me do this because we've been on this for a hot minute. What I'm doing here is I'm copying this over to our initial artboard, pulling this down just a little bit from its original source, and turning down the opacity. So now, and it might look really odd having things come from the left and up, but we'll see what it looks like. There we go. Let's check it one more time. One more time. What do you guys think in the chat? Yes or no? Yes or no? In exact words, yes or no. And it's no is spelled N-A-H. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. Does it look odd or no? I think it looks okay. Should we have everything coming from the left, or is that conversion say okay? We have a good conversation in the chat. I'm loving that you guys are having conversation about assets because it's really, that's an important thing. Let's see. Yes, Tim, thank you for letting everybody know where they can find yesterday's segment. Operating system icons. Ooh, you're gonna have to elaborate on that one, Siran. All right, cool. We have a lot of yeses in the chat. Love it. All right, cool. All right, so next what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're good here. Next, I wanna just do some very small things and then we'll move on from this page. I want to create a, do we wanna do a hover with this? How do we wanna do this? Let's see. I want to do, yeah, we don't want to do a hover state. What I'm going to do here is I want to have what happens when someone clicks that little heart button. So I'm just going to duplicate this artboard. I held Alt and just dragged it. Just to show you guys again. Click, hold Alt, drag it. Perfect. All I'm going to do is I'm going to click in to this heart. I am going to... Also another thing, guys, which is really interesting, and I really want, I know it's probably being worked on. What I want to do here, I'm gonna delete this again, is I want to add, I'm gonna duplicate this heart, and I'll show you guys why in just a second. I'm gonna turn off the border, turn on the fill, make it a heart, or not make it a heart, make it a nice red. Excuse me, and I'm just gonna scale this up just a little bit. I want it to be a little over the white. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna do it like this, and I'm gonna turn the border on and also make it this red. I think that will, let me just back it up. I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna copy, Control D, red, and also taking this red. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is, instead of changing the element color to red, because things get really funky in terms of transitioning color, I want it to, and I'll show you guys what I mean. If I were to not do this, I'm gonna put this off to the side, and I duplicated this and said, okay, on this artboard, I'm gonna add this color to my swatches here. Clicking on the fill, add to my palette, perfect. If I changed this to red and this to red, and I said, okay, I want when this is clicked, well, first off, if these were grouped, let's group that. Make sure, let's check our layers, Control Y, group 54. There we go. Let's change that really quick so we don't have that problem. Group 54. Go to prototype. When this is clicked, I want this to go over here. Watch this. It's just that. It's like, I'm here. Like we don't want that. We want something a little special. Like, we could do that and that works, but we always want to go a little bit higher in what we can do. So I'm gonna go back to design really quick. I'm glad you guys have some good questions today. I'm super excited about this. I say it could use an explosion. Oh, you guys are good. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take back our heart. I'm going to bring this back here. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this red heart. I'm going to bring it to our previous artboard. Paste, copy, paste. And I'm just going to scale this down, holding Alt and Shift. All right, that looked a little weird. I'm just gonna bring it down here, turn the opacity down. And now what I'm gonna do, oops. All right, I'm gonna bring that down, and I need to group our heart and favorites thing. I'm gonna pull this down really quick. To group, make this group 53 so we don't get any naming problems. And I'm just gonna scale this back up to where it was. All right. So what I'm gonna do here, and what I'm trying to achieve, is I want that heart to expand when we click on this. So I'm gonna turn this all the way down. I'm gonna click our favorites thing here, go to prototype, pull this over to this artboard, and I want a snap, 0.4 seconds. We'll see what that looks like, and we'll diagnose from there. Let's hit play. Let's click this. Perfect. So it's got a little something. Rather than just the like just the change of the red. We always want to have like some subtlety. And that's like, it's too It's too slow. So let's play around with some of our settings here. I saw someone in the chat said bounce. Let's see what bounce looks like here. I very rarely use bounce. It's because we get some very strange things with it. Or I haven't used it often. Yeah, that looks a little. It was like it like was bouncing. All right, let's try if we did it longer because it might look good. We had a little something there. But there's plenty of ways to do this. It doesn't have to be bounce. It doesn't have to be snap. I'm just gonna stick to, I'm gonna do an easy one. Ease in, ease out. I'm gonna do 0.4 seconds and we'll test that again. There we go. I'm gonna do it a little bit faster. We're gonna do 0.3. And this is all testing, guys. Just constantly, will this work? Okay, great. Will this work? No, that doesn't look too much. Like, that's what's great about our field. Like, we can always adjust, try something new. With states, I thought that there was only hover. I don't want to do a hover. Oh, lol. There we go, new state. I've only used states for a hover. But we can definitely do that too. If you guys wanted to do this with states, just to show you guys, actually, let's try it out together. Let's investigate. Actually, I'm gonna just do this over here. So if I wanted, I'm gonna copy that, move this over. Whoa. I'm gonna turn this up so I'm not like dragging invisible heart. Let's try this together. So we have all this. We're gonna do Control K to make this a component. Add a state, new state. We're gonna do heart pulse. I'm so used to using additional artboards. All right, so initial state, we're gonna make sure that we're in that first default state. We're gonna turn the opacity of this heart down. State 2. Bring this heart all the way up. Boom. And now what I'm gonna do here, why is that not all the way down? Okay, now we have our two states here. We have our default state, which is just the heart. We have our heart pulse. So we're gonna go ahead and go to prototype. We're gonna do, oh, here we go. Okay, I don't know why that slipped my mind, guys. I'm just like so used to dragging out artboards and using states only for hover that I forget about this sometimes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start on the default state, and on tap, we're gonna have it go to, wait, let's go back to this. On tap, we want it to go to our heart pulse right here, and there's a difference. So it can take you to another artboard, or it can take you to another state of this component, which is the heart pulse that we want. We have the ease in, ease out, perfect. We're gonna go to design. All we're gonna do now is we're just gonna open up our thing here, and there we go. We have the same thing. Now, we have it one way, we wanna do it the other way. Thanks, Tim, for reminding me about that. We would have had 20 artboards today. Just showing this. So let's see. Now to go the other way, we're gonna go to heart pulse, prototype, click this arrow, boom. Everything already was set up for us because Adobe XD remembers our settings for our previous state or what we animated last. The only thing we have to do is pick the destination. We want it to go to default state. Perfect. Now, all we're gonna do is hit play, and now we can do a back and forth. Awesome, and we'll use that instead. Thank you so much, Tim, for reminding me about that. For some reason, I'm just so used to only, like, my workflow of like dragging artboards. I remember a lot easier rather than, at least for hover states, rather than things like this. So I'm just gonna cut this out. delete this, paste that back in. Perfect. And we can just get rid of this. Boom, just like that. Turn to default state. And it works just the same. A lot less work. There you go. We probably could have done a lot of other things exactly like that. That's probably why I'm so used to the old ways of doing things. But we'll definitely, I'm super excited for the next Adobe get started with Adobe XD to really show you guys, or we'll utilize more of that as we continue with today's segment. We still have, it is 11:30, we still have 30 minutes left. So super excited. All right, so far, what we have, so we have our drags, we have our nice little animation here. I love that little bubble thing when it comes down. It's super nice. All right, so let's get started on some other pieces of this. And guys, if you guys are feeling it, if you're really feeling it, let me know and hit that appreciation button if you haven't already. It's much appreciated, and I'm really glad that you guys are here today. All right, so let's see, what else do we got? We can do our genres, or we can do next, which is this show all button here. So we're gonna start again from our initial state here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have what happens when we hit this show all button. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna just hold Alt, drag this down. There's a lot of wires happening. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to get out of prototype, go into design. And I'm going to, just like we did with the last piece, I'm gonna turn this into wish list. I'm gonna do that the rest of these, wish list. Hey, what's going on, Sam? And a wish list, just because we don't want to fall in any issues with what we were last time with any naming conventions of the layers. All right, wish list, got it. All right, cool. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to move all this stuff. I'm gonna select all of it. All I'm doing is holding Shift and just clicking on what I wanna move. I'm gonna move all this stuff down. I don't wanna pull it off the artboard. Let's see. I'm gonna select all the, oh, this is what we'll do. We'll just do it like this. We'll pull this off to the side here. No, this is what we'll do. We'll just turn the opacity down. That's the simplest thing to do. Opacity down, select all these. Whoops. Opacity down. All right, simple way to just start. We don't have to do anything complex. And what we're gonna go ahead and do here is we are just going to take these and we're gonna pull these. How do we want to approach this? Because there can be a cool, I want to show you guys a really interesting way of doing this. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this, I'm going to hold Alt so I can duplicate this. And a lot of you will probably be asking why I'm not going to be using the repeat grid for this. I'll show you why. Because I'm going to group this. Whoops. I'm going to pull these off to the side here. And of course we can go ahead and change the different books that we have in here as well, and we have total time to do that a little bit later. But first we're gonna just duplicate it, drag this down, make sure that the spacing between each of these is the same. We have 43 here, and I'm checking this by holding Alt. Moving these up, making sure that we have 43. All right. I'm gonna move these off to the side really quick. I'm gonna copy these paste them up here. Turn the opacity down. Pull these into place. And I'll show you guys, I'll explain to you what I'm doing in just a moment here. I do think there's a little too much space right now, but let's go step by step. So now when I click, I'm gonna go to prototype. When I click show all of continue reading, I want it to go here. Now let's just see what this looks like. Hey Ann, hey Mia, what's going on? How you guys doing? Glad you guys could make it. So let's click show all. Let's do that one more time. Oh, we need to go, ability to go back. Okay. Let's see, so we can show all. Let's think about this. So what we'll need is we will actually need to lose the genres and have a back button as well. I actually think I might want to remove the favorite books thing as well from there. A lot of things to think about. So let's try this. Let's go back to our design mode. Let's figure out what this is. Ah, that's what that is. Well, we don't need this, so we can actually just delete that. I'm gonna take our search bar, turn this opacity all the way down here. Same thing with these, selecting them, holding shift, selecting these, turn the opacity down, and I'm going to drag, select all of this, hold shift, and click the navigation bar because we don't want to move that. And I'm just gonna drag these elements up. And now we do need a back button. So let's think about that. We need some space to do that. Maybe this can move up just a little bit, just to give us some room. And I'm just gonna copy this, or hold Alt, so I can drag this over here. And all I'm gonna do here is, I'm going to move this over here, flip it, and just type back. Grab the group, pull this into alignment. And for this, we don't even need this anymore. So we're just gonna turn the opacity down. Hey Lucas, welcome to Adobe Live. How you doing, my friend? And now I do wanna fix some of this alignment here because I feel like some of this stuff could be a little closer. So I'm gonna just click these groups and just use my arrow keys while holding shift to get good spacing. So I think 20 pixels between each. I'm gonna move this navigation bar so I can see really quick what's happening. I'm gonna put 20 pixels in between each. In question, I always find myself when I design that I'm always like bobbing and weaving, like I'm almost like Floyd Mayweather trying to dodge something. When you guys design, do you guys go forward, backwards, side to side? It's probably why I got a thick neck. You know what I'm saying? That's a workout. So that's my quarantine workout right there. All right, let's see where we are at. We also want to make sure that this stuff is centered. We're gonna go to prototype. I'm gonna pull this back up to our initial board. All right, let's test this out because we did a lot of things and we need to know what the chain reaction is. And things get scary really quick when I always move a lot of things and I don't test what the outcome is. Yeah, you guys can see there was like some weird glitches. I'm pretty sure that's because of layer. Something is above something, so we gotta fix that. Okay, let's begin. So this, I'm going to bring, I just want to make sure it's not the navigation first. So I'm going to hold, I'm clicking the navigation here, holding Control Shift right bracket to bring it all the way up to our artboards. You guys in the chat are hilarious. Thomas is like, I move my face closer to the screen instead of zooming. Mohammed says, hello, Siren, totally my shoulder's killing me right now. Sam is saying, I totally, for some reason, tilt my head sometimes. I'm really trying to see what my drawing, why my drawing isn't working. Dude, totally feel you. Siren is saying, your lower back. Yeah, see, I've been trying to invest in a standing desk. I really think I should. Definitely. And I thought I was reading what you were saying. I was like, she wears flip-flops while designing. But no, I flip-flop back and forth. Yeah, there's like a meme that goes around like this. All right, but let's get back into what we were doing. Let's see, I'm gonna do the same thing with this navigation here, Control Shift right bracket. And let's go back to see if that's worked. I'm pretty confident that was the issue, but if it's not, all right, that looked about right. It's a little quick. I don't want it that quick. So pretty simple. Let's go back to prototype. Let's click on show all. Let's click on that arrow. Let's ease in and out. Let's do, for some reason I just like snap. And we're gonna make it a little bit longer so it's not like too, what happened? It's not too in your face, it happens smoothly. Show all, there we go. Very nice. And this little this little circle here, I'm just gonna make it smaller. So it moves a little naturally. And that would be really interesting. Let me know in the chat, guys. Should we make the blue circles move with each interaction, or should we just leave it as it is? Because right now we have. All right, that looks pretty smooth. Show all. It still seems pretty fast to me. What do you guys think in the chat? I call that as looking at things from different perspectives. You guys are good, man. All right. So we have that. Next, we're gonna do our library. I think we're good on this, to be honest with you. All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bring this up just so we can close that out just about here so that we can still scroll. Perfect. And if we really wanted to, we can go back. If you guys remember, I'm gonna copy this. And what I mean by copy this, what I copied was this big animation, or this big portion here, or this big thing here, which was what we were using to make this animation. Let me just show you guys again. Just like how we did this animation here, we want to make it able for us to go from our continue reading list to this as well. So to do that, I'm gonna do a time check here because I haven't already. All right, good, we have 15 minutes. All we're gonna do here is we are going to go to prototype, click in, whoops, here. Oh, perfect, it's already attached, great. So let's see what this does. Because we have one portion. Oh, interesting. Oh, wait, no. We're on the wrong thing. So we're here, click on this. Wow. Show all, click this. So this just drops down rather than coming up. And that is because on this page, if I turn the opacity up on this, this is the button, and this is that text that we have. So we're telling Adobe XD to be like, okay, this is on this page, these elements are hidden. When we get to this page, bring them up into this position and make the opacity 100%. So we're gonna just like we did on this initial page, we're gonna copy these elements and we're gonna turn the opacity back down on here. I'm gonna bring those elements over here. I'm gonna just paste them in, turn the opacity down. Now let's check this out. It's still going that way. Let's see. I bet it's another naming convention. Let's check this out. So let's turn the opacity up one more. Let's see. I'm reading you guys in the chat. You guys are on a roll today. I love this. You guys are talking about hand cranks? I've missed a lot of the conversation, guys. I have missed a lot. I'm trying to scroll up to see what I missed. But hey, clue me in. What do you guys, what is the hand crank? Sam, what's happening? While you guys let me clue me in on what's happening over there, I am going to try to diagnose this really quick. All right, so we're here. And I mean, the animation worked pretty well, but it wasn't 100% to my liking. Let's see. All right, going back here, design, let me get my, let's play this, click. No, I think it's fine. Yeah, because it's the same animation. Okay, I was mistaken. So here, if we go to show all, here we go, boom. All right, so we're looking good, guys. We got our favorite buttons working. Very nice. Perfect. All right, so now what we can do, doing another time check, we are almost, what is this, 13 minutes? Really, not 13 minutes. We have about like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Got you, standing desk. Actually, I do have a standing desk, but it is one of the hand cranks. It's like when I hold a thing, it slowly builds up. But we ain't got time for all that. We got a lot of gear and stuff happening here. I'm gonna have to do the relighting if I do that. Another day. Okay, so let us see. What else can we get into? We can get into one small thing. We do have about 10-ish minutes left, but I don't want to leave you guys off on a cliffhanger. So what I'm gonna do, just very quickly, is I'm gonna go into our navigation here. And I'm going to do, just like we did with our favorites here, I'm going to create the selected or on this page sort of I was about to say feature, but the state of it rather. Okay, so let's start with the home. What we're gonna do is we are going to not edit it. Let's see, we're gonna go to default state, new state. Do not selected. And that's pretty simple because all we're gonna do is we're gonna change that fill to that gray color. And that looks like this. Pretty simple there. All we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to our default state. Or we're gonna do that with everything. So we're gonna go over to our book, default state, new state, selected. CRN's asking a really good question. The bubbles animating independently in the background cannot happen while they are transitioning in effect. Is this something the team is working on? That is a great question. I think Howard was mentioning to me that is definitely something that's in the works. I can't vouch for any of that, but however, we have had a conversation about that as well, where you can do cool stuff like this, like we worked on yesterday, where you can have transitioning bubbles very simply just like that, but you can't yet do the drag transitions or the scrolling just yet. So that's why I actually separated having the bubbles in addition to, I separated it from the actual prototype that we have. So, all right, we have 7 minutes. Let me go ahead and finish out doing these components, guys. And since we have 7 minutes before we end out here, I want you guys to let me know any questions I can answer for you, me or Sam, before we roll out today. It's been a pleasure. It's been a really fun and amazing time with you guys. I always have a blast. And I hope you guys did too. And if you did, I would highly appreciate, and so would Adobe, if you guys definitely hit that appreciate button. We would definitely appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and get in here. We have our selected state. Turn the opacity all the way up. All right, so now we have the default and selected. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Default state, new state, selected. Hey Leslie, what's going on? Glad you can make it. All right, so we're gonna pick this blue color here. We're gonna go in and turn the opacity up. All right, great. So now we have our default and selected pieces for all of our navigation icons here. So what we can do, and we are not changing whatchamacallit just yet. We're not changing pages, but this is what we can do. If we wanted to, right? Let's just make a blank page for right now. So I'm gonna just duplicate this. I'm using this as an example. I'm gonna just delete everything that's in here, minus the blue. So if we had a blank page here, and let's pretend that this was our library, okay? And if we went to we're here at our initial page, right here. And let's say when I click this, when I click this, go to prototype, go to a new page, and now all I have to do is click our components here and just change their state. So here, not selected. We're now in the library, so we're gonna have that selected. And it's really simple to change things when you build things like that. A reoccurring, whether they're icons, whatever, if there's something reoccurring and you want to have different states, this is a great way of, just having one component to deal with and have multiple ways of having that one thing visualized. Anne is asking another really good question. She's saying, I missed yesterday, arrived late today, will have questions once I have caught up by tomorrow. Great job. I'm enjoying my first Behance Live. And thank you so much for joining. We enjoyed having you as well. If you want to actually catch up on what we did yesterday, I think Sam had mentioned there's links. If you scroll all the way down, you guys can check out what we did yesterday, go through that, be caught up, and also after this, you'll have the whole video to watch what we did today. So we are actually about to roll out, and just to be safe, because I don't want to cut you guys off, but if you do have any questions, please let us know before we drop off here. And before we do leave, I'm going to, for those of you who may have just popped in, I'm going to show you guys what we did do the last 2 days together. So last piece here, I'm just taking, if I click on this home page, I want us to go back to the home page, and simple as that. All right, so let's take a look at what we did so far together, guys. We have our nice drag animations via auto animate. For our recent additions, wish list, continue reading, the ability to continue reading this book, understanding a little bit about it, how much we've read, what the book is about, and we can continue reading. We can favorite it if we want. We can go back. We can go to our little libraries page, what we have yet to do. So we've done some really cool stuff together, guys. If you guys want more of this, there's tons on Adobe Live. If you want other things like this as well, I do live streams myself every Friday on Behance specifically. And I have tons of Instagram tutorials if you guys follow me there at Brandon Groce. So that's it, guys. I've had an amazing time with you all. Sam, thank you so much. And Tom and so many others who have come and popped in on Adobe Live to moderate. You guys are amazing. Mustafa, yes, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Natasha, thank you for joining. I'm going to leave you guys for now. I'll be in the chat after. And I'll be with you for the rest of what Adobe Live has to offer today. So until then, guys, I am going to say bye until the next time we're on Adobe Live together. All right, guys, have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.